Hey everyone, welcome to the Facebook Live where I am going to talk a little bit about the Freedom Series and the amazing people that were part of that this time around and the change that they saw and whatever else you guys want to talk about. So I'm going to hang out for a minute here and try to fill the dead air until a few more people hop on because I know there's quite a few people that want to join. Hey Amanda, Serena. If you guys, as you know, we've been talking about this quite a bit. Hey Dorothy. Go ahead and leave me a question, comment, anything you can leave there. And just like we did for the webinar, I am going to give away a free spot to someone who makes themselves known here on this Facebook Live. Free spot in Little School of Big Change, which opens on Monday. So, hi Clement. So, we will be doing the drawing. If you remember, if you're around in June, my kids live for this. So I'm gonna let them pick the names. So that's why I'm kind of waiting. Monday's webinar was amazing. There's a link to it here somewhere, wherever I put that above this video. If you want to catch the replay of that, if you weren't there, it was a really awesome opportunity to just get to share with a lot of new people, which I just love so much. Share this bigger understanding and what the school's all about and just how I see freedom happening and change, deep lasting change happening for so many people. Hi Irina, Ingrid, Nicole, good to see you, Ellen. So there were lots of people on that and I'm gonna draw a name from that too. So if you were on there, you will be getting a video of my children in some creative way picking the winners because they insist on doing it. And we'll do that, and we'll do it for the people who are here as well. So looking forward to that. So again, just kind of getting things started here. I'll wait for a few more people to hop on. But if you have questions about change, if you have questions about habits, this understanding that I share, school, anything that's on your mind, just put them here. And if I don't see them, because they start scrolling, so if I don't see them and get to address them here in my own words, I will absolutely go through and comment and answer any of those questions in the comments. So I'll get you taken care of. So anything that's on your mind, feel free to share it. So I really kind of just wanted to take this time to talk a little bit about the Freedom Series. I know a lot of you have been following it and followed it maybe last time in June when we had 5 people sharing their stories of freedom from various things. And this time around, last week, and the last one is tomorrow. That's Fernanda. She'll be on tomorrow. 5 new people with lots of issues, completely different things, that in their own way, each of them felt completely stuck, as we do, as we humans tend to do, felt completely stuck and hopeless and just not sure what the heck to do in some area of their lives, many of them probably several areas of their lives. And within themselves, through seeing more about what's true about us as human beings, through seeing something that they hadn't seen before. I mean, we talk about insight a lot, but insight is not fancy. It is happening all the time. And it is not just for enlightened people. It is not just for quiet people. Insights are happening constantly. And so each of these people that I'll share, but all of us, we're constantly seeing new things. And it really, really helps to know that that's a thing, that there's a source of insight and wisdom and common sense, and that we're constantly seeing new, fresh things, that every moment we get a refresh. I talk about that in the school, that it's like that refresh button on your browser, when your internet's doing wonky things, you hit refresh and you just kind of clear the whole thing and you start over. We have that. Human beings are built. We come with our own innate refresh button. It's just this moment, and then this moment, and then this moment. And in our innocence, in our misunderstanding, in our complete innocence, we don't we don't know that, so we don't take advantage of it. Life is still moving through us all the time, but we're in our heads. We're kind of ignoring that refresh button, overlooking it, and we're in our heads thinking, I can't believe I did this yesterday. What's going to happen tomorrow? We're just so in that place. And the more we just see about, the refresh button is just one of so many different little examples and metaphors and things that are available to us, that when we see that, everything changes. It's like, oh my gosh, I here on my computer, just to continue the computer metaphor, I have access to Google. If you don't know that, you're going to be searching your hard drive to try to find out some fact that it does not exist on your hard drive. And that's what we do all the time. We go to our hard drive, which is our brain, our memory, what we know already, our past, our very limited, amazing, but relatively limited human intellect and what we know and what we've learned, or we go out and try to gather more information to kind of add to our hard drive, and we try to solve from that, not realizing that we have the equivalent of like a billion Googles. Like we have wisdom. We are constantly getting new thoughts. Our old stuff can refresh and fall away, and new stuff will show up. And again, this is happening for all of us every moment of our lives. So this is nothing that you need to learn. You don't need a little school of big change. You don't need a book. You don't need anything to make this true. It's true. It's always been true. It always will be true. But when we see more about how we operate, what's true for us as human beings, suddenly it's like, oh, I never saw that before. It's like you get the red Honda and suddenly there are red Hondas everywhere. It's kind of like that. It's like, oh my gosh, I never realized that was the case. So anyway, I get a little excited. So that's just a little bit about just kind of reminding everyone, that we have all this already. We know it already. It's just really cool to see a little bit more about how we work and to have insights ourselves, and we're always having them. So the 5 people that I shared with you, 4 so far, again, Fernanda's tomorrow, on the Freedom Series this time around, if you're listening to those, just kind of listen for, this is so vague, I get it. Listen for kind of how they've seen something, not what they've seen, because what they've seen is a little bit different for everyone. It shows up in a different way for everyone. And they can all share what they've seen, maybe, so Mary, for example, I know shared a thought that she had, or an insight that she had as she was reading some book. She said she had lived before that as if she was living in barbed wire. And I loved that. I just thought that's so tangible. Like we can feel that she felt like this, going through life like that. And she just heard or read something to see like, no, like our thinking creates our reality. Now, I can say that to you here right now, and it may or may not do anything for you. But the point is, and that's the thing, you don't want to listen to what she said or what she heard. That was meaningful for her. And the thing is, because that was meaningful for her, because she really deeply heard something in that, it changed. It really started to change. It like cut open that barbed wire she was living in. Does that mean everything was perfect and the rest of her life was easy? No. But she had that barbed wire cut open. She had a new lease on life. Like she saw life. She had a sea change. She saw things in a different way. And from that moment forward, she continued to see more, because that's what we're wired to do. We all do. We're always seeing more. So don't listen for, oh, well, what did this person do? Or exactly what did they see? What was their insight? Because their insight's only helpful for them. Listen softly. Listen really gently, like the way a cat kind of lays in the sun with their eyes, just those little slits, and they can see, that they're not hard focused on anything. They just have that wide peripheral vision. That's kind of how we want to be as we're listening to these stories of people, and anyone's story, that may be helpful, because that's where it's like we're not grabbing for anything. We're just letting things find us, letting things that are helpful and that are going to be personal and deeply meaningful to us land with us. So it's funny, I was thinking about, because I had a lot of questions about well, what exactly is going on here? Especially from people that are kind of newer to this understanding, because I get it. It can feel vague in the beginning. It can feel, I don't know, it can feel vague. And I was thinking about when I was in some of my early coach training a long time ago. I was in this training setting, and a woman there, I was training to be a coach, and it was a pretty advanced level training. And there was a woman next to me that had a huge insight, and you could see it. I mean, she just heard something, saw something for herself that blew her mind open. You could see it sitting next to her. And she had been kind of talking with our leader as this all unfolded. And I remember really being like to my teacher, my mentor, what just happened? No, tell me. What was the technology? Like, what did you just say to her that made her do that? As if there's some formula, as if that's the way it works. Like, oh, she said something and this happened. But, and I remember my teacher just being like, whoa, settle down. Like, it doesn't really work that way. But my mind was so fast, and I was so like, no, give me the formula. Tell me how it worked, and that just came to mind for me this morning when I was reflecting on all of this. How natural that felt at that time for me, it just was like, no, there's a way you do things, and you need to learn a fact, and then you figure out how to do it. And now seeing like, oh, that's why she couldn't answer my question. What she did to answer my question, which is kind of funny, she suggested that I get myself into some improv comedy classes, which now I know, when you're doing improv or you're doing anything that's kind of in the moment, you cannot be in your head, or you will be really horrible at it. Like, what is required of you is to let all this mental stuff just kind of settle down. Have that soft focus, like I said, like that cat laying in the sun. And then, in the moment, as things are coming at you, as they do in improv, things will show up. You'll have ideas because you're relaxed and have a soft focus. So that was basically the skill she told me to hone, if you want to call that a skill, which makes a lot of sense now. But that's what I really encourage you to do, in listening for this. And again, I know it can sound a little vague in the beginning, but it's only vague until it isn't. And when any of us sees anything, which again, we are all the time, things really change. There's something about knowing that that we don't need to figure things out at this mental level. I keep picturing the waves, like a really rocky, surface of the ocean. And we've talked about this before. And when the waves are really crazy, if you just dip down just a little bit beneath those waves, there's a lot of calm. And if you dip down even further, there's a whole lot of calm. And that's always there. It's just that we get so caught up in the surface of the ocean and the waves and the drama that we kind of miss that that's always there. And this is huge. Now I know, again, it could be like, well, how do I dip down and what do I do? But I really want you to just get quiet and just kind of consider, like, does that make sense? We all have a bottom of the ocean. And I know for years I lived my life in the surface. And not only just getting knocked around by all those waves and all that drama at the surface, but trying to control it. And it really, really sucks. It's really hard and it really doesn't work. So that's what we do, right? When we're like, how do I change and what do I do and what's the formula? And let me bring in my willpower and let me try this and that and this and that. We're like at the surface of the ocean thinking, okay, this surface is all there is. Now we might not, if you ask someone, they might acknowledge that there's more than what we see on the surface. But we're not living that way. We're living so hyper-focused on what's going on. So for us, in terms of our habits and addictions and anxiety and depression, whatever we're facing, the equivalent is, I have this problem. It's with me all the time. What am I going to do? How am I going to fix it? How am I going to change it? That's how it is in our heads, right? That fast. And it's like we're on the surface of the ocean and we're trying to calm the ocean by doing something. What the heck would we do? Well, exactly. We don't know. That's why we do a lot of things. We do everything. And we end up exhausted and we end up hopeless. And again, I would love, because I'm so passionate about sharing this in a really mainstream way and just making this understanding so mainstream and so everyday. And it isn't yet. I get that. It will be. But because that's my passion in life, I'm always thinking about, okay, what can I give them? How can I help people see this? But the thing is, some of that's helpful and we talk around it and we share these stories, but I wish there was some fix for the surface of the ocean that we could just pass out and everyone would just kind of go to work and do their thing and then it'd be fine. But as much as that looks like that would be a good solution, it's really even better than that, and it's like once we kind of see that there is so much more beyond the reality we're living in our heads. We don't have to solve it. We don't have to fix it because it works perfectly already. We just have to see that it works perfectly already. And that's in these Freedom Series videos, that's something that every one of these people in their own way, in their own very unique way, they saw that. They got a glimpse of that. So I love in Jim's video, Jim was a big drinker, a binge drinker. He didn't drink all the time, all day, every day, but he was a party guy. He had this company and they, he arranged Caribbean travel and he had beach parties all the time. And he's a basketball coach. He's a big sports guy. And so much of his life revolved around partying and drinking. And he reached out to me one day after the Super Bowl this past year. He had a really tough night of drinking, and he came across this understanding and was done, was free. Just kind of saw, okay, this is not the way I thought it was. I don't even like binge drinking. I just thought I did. So that's his way of seeing it. Like what he saw was, wow, I've been living in my head of what's next and where's the next party and what's going on and this is what I need to have fun. And when that was his surface of the ocean. And when he just dipped a little bit beneath that, he saw a whole other reality that had been there all along, but he didn't know it was there. That's what we're talking about. Same with Mary. I love Mary. She, I just have to say, everyone in here, and so many people have mentioned this to me, these people have like a sparkle. You noticed? They have this like light in their eyes. They have this little sparkle because they've just seen like life is light to them now, so much lighter than it used to be. So I love the little screenshot I think we just took of Mary. She just glows. I just love it. But she's been around this understanding for a really long time. But she talks about being an overthinker, constantly thinking. She's the barbed wire one, constantly in this little barbed wire universe of thinking. And she just saw, over time, in her own way, that there's more than that. There's a deeper place. And when this settles down, and it's just about knowing that that's there and not needing to pay attention to it in quite the same way. She dipped down beneath the surface of her ocean. And when we talked, and I can't remember because I did a little light editing to some of these, but I think it's in there that she talked about having intuition now that she never had before. So just little things where I think she said she was like walking to the mailbox and knew something would be there. And, these are things that feel kind of mysterious and magical and crazy to a lot of people, but they're really common and they're really, really practical and they make perfect sense. They make perfect sense because we are connected to so much more than what our hard drive is telling us. When our hard drive is not the main focus and we dip a little lower, of course you know things. Of course you see things. It's really not magic. But I love that because here's a woman that lived in her head. Everyone called her an overthinker for so long. She had so many struggles. Yet she had this wisdom, and she has it now. And it's like now she's like, no, I don't really overthink much at all. I just kind of know things and things show up in my head. And that's what it's like when you have some space there. Who else? What other amazing stories are on there? Marnix, who's today. Marnix's story, the thing that Marnix, looked into bigger spiritual things, what's beyond our thinking a lot. He's written, I think, 5 books now, 4 or 5 books. The man is very accomplished, very wise. He knows this stuff. For him, it's this understanding that we share that he says really clinched it for him. Because, and here's why, here's what I love. He says he saw from this understanding, he knew that he was feeling his thinking and that he lived in this thought-created world and all of that kind of stuff. He knew that from his studies, and he knew it more deeply, and it really helped him in a lot of ways. But the thing that kind of clinched it, he says, for him, is to see what's always true beneath the thinking. See, we get so focused on that surface of the ocean, it's like, well, what do I do and how do I manage it and all of that kind of stuff, that we forget to get curious about what's on the bottom of the ocean. And that's where all the good stuff is. So Marnix, through this bigger understanding that we shared in school, he says it just like really hit home for him that feeling, and he calls it a purring cat, that purring cat, it's quiet. It's always there, and it's always been there. Even when he was suicidal, even when he was drinking every single day, doing drugs every single day, afraid to leave his house, he can kind of see and feel that purring cat, what he calls it, that safe place within us, was always there. So it isn't about doing things. It really isn't. And that doesn't mean you don't do anything. I mean, you do things. You just do them from a deeper, more calm, wiser place, and that's what all of these stories share. And I want to mention, let me check the time. I want to mention, like I think I mentioned this in June as well. I know these are kind of extreme stories, some more than others, but some are really extreme. These are people that really were suicidal, like really heavily addicted in some cases. And I'm always a little hesitant to share, not hesitant to share that, but I want to make sure this part is clear. That's not how it is for everyone, but it is like that for a lot of people. It is true that in these really extreme places, we can see things, we can have insights and see things that change things very quickly, and we can find freedom no matter what's going on. And that is the point. So for me, it's like, let's get really curious and fascinated by the fact that a human being that is so caught up in so much stuff that society would say, you need to get yourself in a hospital, you need to do this, you need to do that, you need to add this, you need these pharmaceuticals, like so much stuff would be thrown at these people. And they all, without all of that, something within them spoke to them and they found freedom. Now again, I don't want anyone to ever compare themselves with these people. I don't want you to look at this and be like, oh, well, I'm a big loser because my story's not like Shannon's. My story's not like Marnix's, please don't do that. But the reason I share these more extreme stories is, again, to give us hope. There is so much hope because of what's true for human beings, not because of what they did or the resources that are out there, because of what was already in them to begin with, because there's a bottom of the ocean, a purring cat that's always there, and we don't need to fix it and figure it all out. And the more we just dip down into that rather than adding more and doing more, the more we start to kind of join up with that. So these extreme stories are awesome. They're hopeful. They show people what's possible. And at the same time, every single day, I am just so grateful for this understanding in the little ways. So I've been free of binge eating for, a lot of years. Not a lot of years, but several years, a handful of years. Free of anxiety for that long. And it's awesome. But I thought, and everyone thinks, okay, this is it. Like when I get over this, when I get over the alcohol, when I get over the eating disorder, when I get over the relationship issues, I'll be fine. And I thought that too. Like that's that big thing, right? We need that big change. But how many times have you felt that in life? I mean, I've thought that a million times. When I was dating a bunch of guys that I thought were all, not good for me, I thought that then. I thought, oh, just let me meet one decent guy and I'll never ask for anything again. Well, you know how long that lasts, just let me get this one little boost at work and I'll never ask for anything again. Well, just consider if you're like that with something in your life, let me just get over this habit or get through this anxiety or see this differently, stop procrastinating, whatever it might be, then I'll never ask for anything again. It is awesome to find freedom from the big things. There is no question. But what's really interesting about humans is that we tend to adjust and kind of, I guess there's a better word, but I don't know what it is. We tend to just kind of adjust to where we are, our new normal. It really is, it speaks to the resilience in us. So yeah, it was a big rush, and I still can look back and be like, thank God I don't have that issue. But at the same time, those issues are so foreign right now that it's not like, oh yeah, that made my whole life. What this understanding really, it's practical and it's ordinary. And what I'm so grateful for every day is the little things The little things. That's what makes up our life, is the little moments. It's the little moments of peace. You know, the little, just those little moments where you just are like, wow, I don't have a lot on my mind, and it's so nice. It's so nice to just feel comfortable in your skin, or enjoy a holiday with family rather than like thinking about how they should be, and you know, like the little things. And they're kind of not little, but they're little in the big picture of things. So I just wanted to mention that. I want to share that because, again, I know the Freedom Series is all about the big things, and that's wonderful. But whether you have a big thing or not, you can find freedom from that. Most people do. You will. I can pretty much tell you, you will eventually. Don't worry. But it's the little things that you're going to really like look back and have that sparkle in your eye about, you know, that you see everyone in the Freedom Series with that little sparkle in their eye. That's because of the bigger piece that they have, that they know. They know, like they know their name, that there's a bottom of the ocean there. And that life as it's showing up to them in problems and obstacles and all of this stuff is not how it really is. That's just how it's showing up to them. When you know that, you're just safe in the world. You feel a lot safer in the world, and things are really different. So let me go see if I can grab some questions here. Again, I had these issues before. They scroll. So if you asked a question early on, post it again if you want, or I promise when I get time this afternoon, I'm going to go through and address all of these. Yes, Angie says, so again, I'm kind of going from the bottom up just because they're here. Angie says, so true how we're always looking for that big change before we let ourselves start living. Isn't that true? You know, like if this could just happen, if I could just get over that. But again, I don't want to take that away from you because it is cool to have those big changes, but I promise it's like just that inner peace, that little. Jim Hobbs just joined. Hi, Jim. We've been talking about you. So I want to say there's something that ties in perfectly right here with that. And one of the things that struck me so much about Jim's conversation was it was toward the end, he talked about going back to his parents' house for, I think it was like his brother's wedding or something, and being in his little kid bedroom, you know, room he was in as a kid, and just having a sense of home base. And, you know, he was in home, maybe his old bedroom, but kind of just having that realization, oh yeah, this home base is in there, and it always has been. Again, it's the purring cat. It's everybody talked about this in their own way, that there is a safe place in us. And knowing that that's solid, that we can count on it, that it's a place to look all the time, that's what gets you out of the waves on the surface. Why would you hang out up there and try to fix that when you know there's a solid home base that's always in there? So anyway, that was awesome. I'm so glad. I love these comments, and yeah, it's I can't see all of them from up top, but again, I will address them all. So glad you guys are seeing so much in this, and you know, feeling the hope in it. Lisa asked about urges, and you know, there's so much about kind of like I like kind of what to do with an urge. In terms of what I've been sharing here, consider that top of the ocean. When it looks like all there is drama and urges that show up and anxieties that show up and problems and like the waves, the whole thing that's just there on the surface of the ocean, it looks like we need to do something when that happens. But what I want you to keep looking toward, Lisa, and considering is that's going to happen. But as much as we all get fixated on that at times, and that looks like something we need to fix, it fixes itself. The calmer we can be about it, the more we just see accurately, honestly, the more accurately we see that we live in this world that's coming from within our own heads, and it looks really real. And we live in this society that is all about, you can do it, and you make things happen, and if you want it, you go out and get it. And we have innocently applied that to our human experience. And it doesn't really, it's not the place for it. It doesn't really work there. Now, if you want to go out and create something in the world, awesome. Empower yourself and motivate yourself and go out and create it. But when it comes to feeling better, when it comes to being with a feeling, being with an urge, being with a craving, being with anything, like that's just energy. There's nothing we need to add to make that better. So everything I'm always pointing people towards, sharing here and in the school, is seeing, again, that everything works perfectly. Everything is safe. It works okay already. We just innocently don't know that. And when you don't know that, you get really freaked out by your experience. And when you do know that, your experience looks very different to you. You're no longer up there, treading water, fighting for your life on the surface of the ocean. You're a little bit below all that drama. And you can look around and be like, wow, it's kind of cool down here. Yeah, there's a lot going on up there, but I'm okay. That's the kind of realization. Again, I know it doesn't give you any tactical go out and do it step, but really kind of sit with this, everyone, and consider it's this deep realization that we're okay already, and seeing that. It's not vague. It's very practical once you see it. Once you see it, it's the most obvious, clear, practical thing in the world. In the school, I talk about it. I equate it to becoming fluent in a language. We can all learn a language. We can go to one of those immersion classes and find our way to the bathroom pretty quickly in any foreign country, in any language. But you're going to stumble, and it's going to be taxing. You get tired at the end of the day on those vacations when you don't really know the language. As soon as you're fluent and it's just coming through you, it's effortless. And that's what we do. That's why we look at this understanding in such a deep way. It's about helping you become fluent. The more fluent we are, the more we just know, like Marnik said, we know that purring cat is there. It doesn't take energy. It doesn't take anything. It's a knowing. So that's what we're looking for. Dorothy says relinquishing attempts to micromanage is really the key. Yeah, but that for a lot of people, right? We all want to control. And it's well-meaning. Of course we do. We don't want to suffer. Like, it's not a bad thing. It's the most logical, common thing in the world to want to control and change and fix things. It's just that the way we're going about it is based on a misunderstanding. It's based in a model that we've all kind of come up with and passed around in our innocence that says, ooh, that's bad. Don't want that. This isn't going to work. If you want to feel good, you need to, think positive, change your thoughts, do this, do that. And it just puts us in the wrong place. We end up just spinning our wheels and willpowering ourselves to death, and it doesn't work. It doesn't lead to deep, lasting change. The kind of deep freedom that you see from these people in the Freedom Series. That's because they've done this from the inside out. They've seen something that's shifted the way they see life, and their change is a natural consequence rather than their change being something they had to power through and do. I hope that makes sense. Again, I know it can feel kind of, yeah, but what do I do? until you see it, and then it's like, well, duh, of course it comes from the inside out in that way. And so the what do you do is you learn the truth. I'm not saying don't do anything. I'm not saying, oh, don't listen to anything, like, just go sit under a tree and your addiction will go away. Sometimes that happens, but I wouldn't recommend it. I'd recommend looking toward the truth and really getting curious about human nature. Not your nature or my nature, but human nature. Like, what is true for all of us, and how is it that people change so dramatically? Judy says, the more comfortable I am with being uncomfortable, the quicker the uncomfortable feeling passes. Yeah, totally. And being uncomfortable, like being comfortable with being uncomfortable becomes a lot more natural when you see that discomfort. What is it? It's our mind, it's energy moving through us, and it's our mind saying, oh, I don't like this, and we tense up and we restrict. But the more we see about how life works, there's just no reason to tense up and restrict in the same way. It just doesn't occur to you to do that. You stay more open. Everything feels a little safer. Okay, Jay says, oh, I'm not gonna be able to read all of this, but I feel really peaceful and alive. I feel what you're teaching. I identify with what you talk about. How can we make this understanding? Okay, I'm so sorry, but this is I need someone else say hello to me so that my thing scrolls up a little higher and I can read. Thank you, Edna. How can we make this understanding that we're always safe and free underneath part of ourselves, or speed the process of making it part of ourselves and not just have glimpses? That's a great question, Jay. I don't know how you make it. But what I know is, again, it's in us. It's in us, so it's not hard. If you go talk to any 4-year-old on earth, they're going to know exactly what you're talking about when you speak to this. And that's the absolute truth. Like, don't use big words, but if you just talk to them about the fact that there's a peaceful place in there and that, you know, we have thoughts and feelings and that's what we feel, they get it. They get it on a level that we kind of can't. So it's in there. And how do you become fluent is kind of what you're asking, you know, and I always hate this answer, although I really do feel like it's the answer. And I hate it because I feel like it sounds kind of marketing, and I never want to feel that way, but you immerse yourself in it. And I don't mean you have to buy anything. I don't mean you have to do any certain immersion. I don't even mean immersion like you need to go out and like put a lot of effort behind this. But for me, this has just been my experience, is the more I look toward what is true and get curious about how our mind works and know that there's tons of exceptions. Tons. Our mind is going to say, yeah, but what about this? And this looks different. Okay, that's what a mind does. But you keep looking toward what's true. So you can do that in the Little School of Big Change. You can do it by reading books. You can do it by watching completely free videos. However you want to do it. There are many ways to do it. But staying in this conversation, just like when you're trying to learn a language, right? You stay in the conversation. You go to the country. You immerse yourself in it. And before you know it, you're dreaming in that language. And that's really how this is. And I don't mean to imply either that it's like this perfect path that once you get it, you know, you'd never look back. Like, we're human. We are going to have ups and downs. It's just that you know that there's a safe place. And your knowing of that, your deep personal knowing of that becomes very solid and much stronger. I think just the more you see about it. It's frustrating sometimes because I know people get it in an instant sometimes, and others are stay in this conversation and you know, will tell themselves, oh, it's taken so long, and you know, and I don't know, we're just human. My son learned to ride a bike in 3 minutes and my daughter took 3 weeks. You know, we can argue about it, but we're just all different. We get it when we get it. But they both have balance within them. We all have the ability to balance within us. And we just need to go through the steps and look in the direction and do the stuff. And then eventually, you know, something feels a little more solid beneath us. Edna says, love feeling that I'm not the problem. Yes, you're not the problem. The problem is the problem. Oh, the problem is the problem approach is amazing. Yeah. And really, I mean, these things we call problems, it's so funny to see that they aren't even, you know, they aren't. They're solutions. Like when I binge ate, there was a good reason for that. Was it a great, healthy thing to do? No. But did it have a purpose? Did it help me feel better? Clearly, it felt better than sitting there in my feelings, given what I misunderstood about my feelings, or else I wouldn't have done it. Like, we humans are incredibly logical creatures. We will do the absolute best we can see to do from the understanding we're at. And that's what this is about, is upping our understanding. When you are full of misunderstanding, when you are, I use this all the time, but when you're a little kid and you don't know that there's no such thing as monsters, and you see a shadow on your wall that looks like a monster, it is extremely logical that you scream at the top of your lungs until your parents come in the room and tell them that this monster is about to eat you. It's the most logical thing in the world, because that's your worldview. That's what you understand. That's what you believe to be true. As you grow up and you see, oh, it's just a shadow and there's no such thing as monsters, you naturally react in a different way. You don't need willpower to not scream. You just see it differently. So that's always what we're doing. I love it. It's like, it's so deep. It's so inside out. It's like, let's just see life in a clearer, more accurate way, and you will naturally behave differently. You will do things differently. I have a few more minutes here. If anyone has a question, if you posted it up higher and you really want me to address it here, please just repost it, and I'll be happy to address it really quick. I'm just popping on my phone here to see if I can see any of the other questions. I may not be able to. It's okay, but I just like to try to answer as many questions as I can while we're actually here. I don't know if this is going to work, but I try. Well, I'll post responses here, and I'm always open to talking. So I want to share with you that I am going to do another one of these on Monday. Monday, October 23rd, same time, it's 1 o'clock Eastern time. And we will be giving away a free spot there as well. So there's 3 free spots being given away in the Little School of Big Change. One was for people on the webinar last Monday. One is for those of you here today, and then one is for next Monday. So on Monday's Facebook Live, I'm going to talk a little more specifically about the school. And I'm going to have my iPad like I had last time, where I can show you kind of what the school looks like and how it works. And it'll be more in the ins and outs of that. So, so if you have questions about the school, specific questions, bring them to that. Hopefully some of you will be in the school already by that point, because we do open on Monday. So just a quick word in case the Little School of Big Change is kind of new to you. It is opening for enrollment on Monday. It's an amazing platform, community, course, I don't even know what you call it, school, it's a school. And it is full of content that's been designed and tested specifically to give people a feel for exactly what we're talking about. For you to become fluent in this, it's a way for you to really just see, like, set aside all those buts and all that stuff in your mind and the exceptions, and we're not looking at the problem in the same old way. We're not coming up with ways to fight the waves and fix things. We're looking from the inside out of what is true for all people, because when our understanding rises, our well-being rises, and everything we do comes from a different, much wiser place. So it's a series of video lessons, conversations, animations, quotes, all kinds of cool things, insights that other people in the school are sharing, so you get to learn from other people, and you get kind of walked through this really cool program that you have access to for life. So you get in school once, get all that content, it's yours forever. People go through it multiple times, and that's really, really helpful. Attached to the school is an amazing community. Love our community. I know some of you are here, and it's awesome to see you here. So we have a really active forum, really supportive forum. It's a global community. There's people from all over the world. Like, I don't remember now how many countries, but lots of people there. As you're going through the content, you're posting things on the forum, asking questions. I'm there. Amanda, who's here, is there in the forum. We're helping you. The 2 of us are coaching you. You get lots of personal support, as much as you need there. And then we have twice a month group calls. Calls are awesome. They're like 2 hours long, and we just stay on until we're done, really. We just stay on until everyone on that call has had a chance to share or ask a question or be coached or whatever. And it's so cool to get to learn from other people. One of the questions I sort of glimpsed before it scrolled away was about the role of community, I think, in learning this. And I cannot stress enough, it is such a way to go, because it's less about you. That's the awesome thing. You get to see this understanding again. These are truths about human beings that most of us just, we just weren't taught this. Again, society's looking in a different direction. It's looking at fixing and efforting and working and discipline, and we've seen where that gets us. This is looking so much deeper. It's really looking at what it means to be a human being, and that we're already free, and how our thinking works. And so it isn't personal, and yet we all see it personally, and that's perfect. But to be in a community with other people who are also seeing this and are also sharing their stuff. I can't tell you how many times, Amanda can vouch for this, that we're seeing things on the forum or on the calls, and somebody shares, and it's like, oh my gosh, you have that, I have that, you think that, I think that, and it becomes this thing of like, how seriously are we going to take this? You have that dumb little insecure thought that holds you back. Me too. And guess what? So do like 7 billion other people on Earth. They have their own version of it, if not the same one. So to actually see that in real life, see it play out, and know these people, and you see in them, oh my gosh, like, what does she have to worry about? And then it starts to apply to you too. And you think, oh yeah, well, we're all the same. We're all designed the same way. It's an amazing thing to be together with other people and see this. So the community level that option is absolutely what I most recommend. It's so great for people. So yeah, I will I'll answer your questions. Thank you guys so much for being here, for listening. If any other questions come up, please feel free to post them here. We'll get everything answered. And I really am so glad that you enjoyed the Freedom Series. I hope that it's been inspirational and hopeful, and maybe showing you something more about what's true for you too. And thank you so much to those of you who were a part of it. I love you guys. It's just so fun to have these conversations. And I can't say enough about those 5 people. I want to say they're brave, but really it's kind of like when you see this, it doesn't even take bravery. Every one of them was so eager to do this and just was like, hey, if my story can help somebody, of course I'm going to share it. I love that. It's like the whole ego, shame, all that kind of stuff. It just looks irrelevant. That's top of the ocean stuff. They get deeper and they see, wow, we're all in this together. We all have the same stuff. We all have our own version of the same stuff. And so if I can share what I've been through and it helps one person, sign me up. And they've all volunteered their time and done that. And I'm really, really grateful to them for that, and just grateful for all of you listening. So thank you so much for being here. Love to see you in the school, and I hope to see you back Monday if you still have questions. Have a great day.